enough to do live participation from Presidential Secretariat. And I heard this is a decision made by President himself, thinking that the Sri Lanka and Japan's relations are quite important. The President was born in 1949 and joined the Army in 1971 and engaged in anti-terrorism operations with great success. After retiring the Army, went to the United States, and over 10 years, he worked as IT professionals. And in 2005, when his brother Mahinda Rajapaksa, who is a prime minister now, under his administration, he served as a Secretary of Defense and Urban Development Secretary, dedicated himself to recovery from the civil war and rehabilitation of displaced people. And he became a president in 2019 and became president of Sri Lanka. Now, His Excellency Rajapaksa, floor is yours.
Gotabaya Rajapaksa, President of Sri Lanka, please.
Good day, Excellencies. It gives me great pleasure to address you today at this prestigious international conference on shaping the post-COVID era, Asia's role in the global recovery. It is unfortunate that present circumstances have prevented us from gathering in Tokyo in person for this forum. Nevertheless, I commend our host, Nikkei, for taking the decision to proceed with this conference in this hybrid fashion. I also take this opportunity to convey my best wishes to Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga and the government of Japan. Sri Lanka and Japan have enjoyed a long and fruitful partnership for many decades. Sri Lanka is very eager to further strengthen the warm bilateral ties between our two countries, including through trade and investment. The strengthening of relationship between countries in Asia and increasing cooperation amongst nations globally is even more important today than it has been in the past, given the ongoing pandemic and its consequences. COVID-19 has been catastrophic for the world at large. It has cost several million lives, caused serious illness for more than 100 million, and devastated economic activity throughout the globe. Although Sri Lanka was able to prevent a major domestic outbreak of the virus during most of last year, the pandemic's impact was nevertheless devastating. Our economy contracted by 3.6% during 2020. Sri Lanka has historically depended on certain key sectors for foreign exchange income. These include tea, rubber, coconut, and spices exports, garments exports, remittances from Sri Lankan workers abroad, and tourism. Each of these sectors was seriously affected by the pandemic, especially in the middle of last year. Although most sectors rebounded to their pre-2019, that's pre-COVID levels, by the end of 2020, the tourism sector could not. Tourism is one of the highest earners of foreign exchange in our economy and a sector on which approximately 3 million people depend. Although Sri Lanka reopened to foreign tourists in early 2021 with biosafety bubbles and reduced quarantine requirements for vaccinated travelers, tourism will continue to be adversely affected until the pandemic is contained globally. In recent months, countries in South and Southeast Asia have experienced a significant increase in COVID-19 infections and deaths. There has been a rise in positive cases in Sri Lanka as well. We hope to contain this new outbreak swiftly and without causing serious long-term disruption to the livelihoods of the public. Employing the lessons learned from our past experience as well as the shared experiences of other nations will be critical in doing so. The lack of technical capacity and preparedness in the healthcare system is a challenge faced by most countries. However, the increased international cooperation that has taken place throughout the pandemic to strengthen this capacity is encouraging. Sri Lanka has benefited from the generous assistance of many bilateral and multilateral donors, both within Asia and from outside the region. This assistance has greatly strengthened our ability to deal with the pandemic and its consequences. Ultimately, the only viable long-term solution to the challenges posed by the pandemic is mass vaccination. Unfortunately, severe supply and resource constraints have affected the vaccination drives of many developing nations. The pandemic does not respect national boundaries. If the virus is allowed to spread unchecked anywhere in the world, deadlier strains could emerge that threaten the progress already made through inoculation elsewhere. Speed is therefore of the essence. Production capacity must be significantly enhanced, and supply chain constraints must be overcome soon to allow the global rollout of vaccines in a short span of time. It is only if this is done that we will see an end to this catastrophe. The COVID-19 pandemic posed unprecedented challenges for which no nation was prepared. However, in grappling with its consequences, some positives also emerged. In Sri Lanka, remote working became normalized for knowledge workers, and education migrated to online platforms in a very short span of time. This was accompanied by rapid skills development and the strengthening of digital infrastructure throughout the country. Even very remote parts of the country gained high-quality internet connectivity through the expansion of fiber optic and wireless networks. The pandemic also tested the capability and depth of our public health system and healthcare infrastructure, which ongoing capacity building will greatly strengthen as we go forward. Internationally, a significant positive development that emerged from the pandemic is the sense of unity and spirit of generosity that arose among nations in facing a common threat. The knowledge sharing and support extended by and between countries all over the world is encouraging and should continue into the future too. Another positive has been the pace at which new advances were made in several fields. Significant improvements emerged in medicine and in the pharmaceutical industry, reflected in the speed at which new vaccines were created and new treatment protocols devised. These can have a transformative impact on humanity's future. Such transformations are especially important to us in Asia. The development thrust of many Asian nations have lifted hundreds of millions out of poverty in recent decades. Asia's younger generations are now much better educated and more tech-savvy than ever before. They are well equipped to take advantage of new global transformation such as rapid digitization and to help the region face the future with greater confidence. As leaders in Asia, we must not only encourage these trends domestically, but across the region too. Asian countries must continue to improve cooperation, resolve differences, and devise a regional structural design that enables all countries to rebuild their economies on a sounder, more progressive, and more sustainable footing. Regional groups such as ASEAN, BIMSTEC, and SAARC should be reinvigorated with well-crafted, practical, integrated work plans to support this. Encouraging increased intra-regional trade as well as trade between Asia and the rest of the world is crucial. As an island strategically located at the center of the Indian Ocean, Sri Lanka has been a hub that connected the East and the West since ancient times. Today, Sri Lanka has outstanding port infrastructure that can facilitate transshipment and provide world-class services even for the largest container ships. We also contribute greatly towards maintaining maritime security in this region, helping protect vital sea lines of communication on behalf of all nations. We are determined to safeguard our national interest based on friendly, cooperative interactions with all our partners on equal terms. We follow a neutral foreign policy. We aim to harness the advantages of our strategic location to develop our economy and uplift the well-being of our people in a sustainable and equitable way. We seek to significantly strengthen our bilateral relationships with all countries, and in particular with our partner countries in the Asian region in terms of trade and investment. Although still a developing country, Sri Lanka ranks relatively high in many social development indices. The country has a robust public health system and provides free education through to the tertiary level. We have a well-educated, highly skilled, hard-working, and capable workforce. Sri Lanka is one of the most connected nations in South Asia, with major global centers less than 5 hours away by air. Colombo, the commercial capital, is one of the most beautiful cities in the region and ranks as one of the very best cities in South Asia for the quality of life it provides. In this context, the new development extending the Colombo Business District to 269 hectares of reclaimed land represent an exciting new opportunity for international businesses. The port city will be a gateway to South Asia. It will create a vibrant new city space incorporating an international financial center, a marina district, outstanding residential and commercial facilities, as well as world-class infrastructure, all within a tropical beachside paradise. New legislation that will ensure an attractive environment for investors and greater ease of doing business within the port city has been prepared and is before Parliament. Special status and a host of exemptions and special incentives will be accorded to businesses that will have a broad economic impact. I'm confident that investors from all over the world will benefit greatly from these initiatives and from the port city's unique geostrategic position at the heart of one of the most rapidly advancing regions in the world. I invite all nations to encourage their businesses to take advantage of this opportunity and to be part of what will become a key service hub to this region in the future. The agriculture sector has been a historically important one for my country. It continues to be vital to our economy and employs a significant proportion of our population. Sri Lanka is blessed with great natural fertility and is home to a wide variety of crops, including several that have been identified as superfoods with great export potential. My government is eager to encourage investments that will introduce new technologies, including high-tech farming that can organically improve yields and help businesses develop agro-industries that add value to our produce and enable higher export revenues from them. Sri Lanka is similarly keen on encouraging investments in technology-based industries. We have large numbers of qualified, experienced, and skilled professionals in the information technology space. Our ongoing educational reforms at the secondary and tertiary levels will further enhance the prospects of our young people in this sector in future. New legislation, including an act on personal data protection, is being formulated to create a more robust environment that will enable global technology companies to operate from Sri Lanka. The government has already instituted several other supportive measures towards this, including instituting a zero tax policy for technology companies headquartered in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka also has the raw materials used in many high-tech industries in abundance. My government is prepared to provide significant support to investors who seek to create value-added industries in connection with these resources. We also seek investment for power generation through the use of renewable sources such as wind and solar, in keeping with our growing industrial needs and our policy of enhancing environmental sustainability. Sri Lanka has long welcomed visitors from all countries as honored guests. With its unique scenic beauty, culture, and history, the country has many vibrant attractions that will be widely sought after as global travel resumes. We therefore seek to invite foreign direct investment that can take advantage of the post-COVID surge in tourism. We are keen on encouraging investments into hotels, resorts, and entertainment facilities that cater to high spending tourists. Such investments should create unique experiences that capitalize on our many and varied strengths as a beautiful tropical island nation with a warm and welcoming people. With our highly qualified, experienced, world-class medical professionals and our accredited private hospitals, Sri Lanka is also well positioned for investments in medical tourism. We also welcome investments into tourism projects that focus on wellness, which can supplement our existing world-class facilities in this space by leveraging Sri Lanka's rich heritage of mindfulness and holistic healthcare. In concluding, I convey my best wishes to all participants and wish you a thought-provoking and very productive 2 days in discussing the future of Asia. I also hope that as normalcy returns globally, we will have the pleasure of warmly welcoming all of you to Sri Lanka in the not-so-distant future. Thank you.
Mr. President, thank you very much for a very impressive speech. We are so much encouraged to hear that through the battle with COVID-19, you are finding many positive developments in digital economy and related capacity building. So now, President Rajapaksa has kindly accepted to take some questions now. And please allow me to start by asking one first question. So we are much interested in your diplomatic policy. Last month, you conveyed a very friendly message to visiting Chinese Defense Minister General Wei Fenghuo. In this regard, as a South Asian nation, and how do you balance the relationship with China and India from now?
Yes, Sri Lanka has a historic relationship spanning centuries with both India and China. Our deep social, cultural, religious, economic and diplomatic ties with India are well known. Similarly, we have many strong bonds with China too. Formal diplomatic relations between Sri Lanka and the People's Republic of China were established 64 years ago. The Rubberized Trade Pact was signed even earlier in 1952. In the recent history, the relationship between Sri Lanka and China was strengthened, especially because of the 30 years of terrorist conflict Sri Lanka experienced until 2009. Many countries provided essential support to Sri Lanka, military support to Sri Lanka in overcoming this conflict. Mainly India provided military training as well as critical non-offensive equipment like helicopters, OPVs, etc. China, Pakistan, Russia provided support that included weapons platforms, ammunition, and ordnance, mostly on commercial terms through state companies. Several countries also supported us with intelligence sharing. After the conflict ended, Sri Lanka had urgent requirement for post-conflict reconstruction, especially in war-affected areas. We also needed accelerated infrastructure development throughout the country. Extension of our rail tracks and road networks including expressways, and our port facilities needed expansion. China supported Sri Lanka by providing concessionary loans for many such projects. This has unfortunately been misinterpreted. Attention has been drawn to the Hambantota port, which has been called a debt trap by some. However, the requirement for a southern port in Sri Lanka had been there for a very long time. Different number of presidents and governments tried to construct that port over decades. However, it was only implemented in President Mahinda Rajapaksa's tenure. The Hambantota port is a commercially viable project. The organization that took on a loan, that's the Sri Lanka Ports Authority, to ensure its construction is the Sri Lanka Ports Authority. This is a profitable enterprise, and it had a proper plan to repay the loan. In fact, the first installment of the loan was paid in full. The Hambantota port is not a debt trap, but a potentially transformative addition to Sri Lanka's port infrastructure. Our cooperation with China is on par with our overall economic and commercial trajectories. China has been a key investment partner to Sri Lanka, as have many other countries. As a developing country, Sri Lanka wishes to obtain the support of all partner nations to fast-track our development aspirations and improve the livelihoods of our people. Sri Lanka is keen to further strengthen our relationship with all Asian nations and countries farther away. While we are aware of world power rivalries and regional power dynamics, our foreign policy is neutral. We consider India our closest neighbor and a long-standing friend, and we understand their security concerns and sensitivities. We will never allow anyone to use Sri Lanka to jeopardize India's security. We will work closely with India and all regional partners to ensure that the Indian Ocean remains secure for the benefit of all countries.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. President. And we understand you are seeking the omnidirectional relationship around the countries, right? Yes. So unfortunately, so time has running out, and so now we are going to close the session. And このセッションでは、スリランカのですね、外交政策や
Well, at this session, we have been able to hear the initiative of the diplomatic strategy and also some of the COVID containment measures. A very valuable, insightful presentation from the president. So in terms of Asia, Middle East, and the Sri Lanka that is in the middle of this geopolitical region for the supply chain and also for the marine safe security. It has seen and deemed as a very important hub in these regions, as had been introduced in the speech. Sri Lanka, in terms of logistics and also ocean route, not only being a hub, digital and IT infrastructure has been well furnished in order to be the center of the business operation. It is under the limelight. And also in terms of Asia-Pacific strategy, free and open Indo-Pacific. What we have aimed for in this initiative, it is a very important country for us all. So I hope that Sri Lanka, Japan, not only a bilateral relation, but all the Asian region, we hope that Sri Lanka will be a good partner of ours going down the road.
Now we will close the session with our thankfulness Mr. President, thank you so much for joining us live as a live appearance and for sharing your precious time today. I'll see you again directly next time in Tokyo. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
ゴタバヤ・ラジャパクサ大統領、
His
山田さん、あり
Excellency
がとうございました。
President Rajapaksa and Mr. Yamada.